Truth of the matter is, it's not really about managing business. It's really about finding balance in your marriage, in
Marriage,
your
right,
relationship, in your
right,
situation. If there ever is a thing called balance, you just got to find the balance, right?
right.
Because busy is good. It's good to be
Yes.
busy,
Yeah.
right? But we're gonna talk about that. Welcome back to my Darling Bride podcast, powered by Refuge and Fortress Network. My name is Emmanuel O.
And I'm Lonnie O.
On this podcast, we dig, discover, and deploy biblical gems for the building or rebuilding of kingdom homes and relationships.
Yes, we are on a mission to equip couples on how to build on a rock solid foundation,
Yes.
cultivate a culture of honor and respect,
Mhm.
invest intentionally
And
and consistently
that's the
in
key
your
word.
marriage
Mhm.
or relationship,
Mhm.
defend your union,
Mhm.
and lastly, empower one another towards purpose fulfillment.
This is where not only love meets legacy, but also real love meets real talk. I love that
Yes,
part.
real love meets little talk. I like that.
All right, so we're continuing on our series, Growing Pain.
Growing pains.
We started a new series in this month of June.
Mhm.
It's called Growing Pains. And what is that series about? It's really about the pain that you endure in order to grow.
Yeah.
The pain that you endure in order to grow, especially in the context of marriage. In other words, there is no growing without pain.
Mhm.
There's just no way,
Mhm.
right? There's gonna be fights. There's gonna be nights of crying, not
Yeah.
understanding each other.
Yeah.
There's gonna be doubts. There's gonna be times where you're like, you know what, maybe this is not working out.
Yeah, it's gonna be times where you're like, I can't do this no
Yeah,
more. But you have
like,
to.
you know what I'm saying? Like this, they didn't tell me this in the handbook,
Yeah,
if there
yeah.
was ever a handbook, right?
Yeah.
You know. So today we're talking about busyness, balancing,
Yes.
things like that.
Right. So essentially,
Yeah.
how do we protect our marriage
Hmm.
from burnout and business?
How do we protect
Like
our
we
marriage?
know we
Yeah.
get life happens.
Mhm.
The older you get, the more you start doing things with your life,
Yep.
you get more busy. So how do we protect our life from burnouts and business? That's our marriage from burnout and business. That's what we're talking about today.
And it is so important that you say that, because we got to find a way to avoid burnout.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to be busy.
Yeah.
Like we said in the intro of this video, it's very good to be busy. But how do we do it in such a way that it doesn't lead to burnout?
Yes.
Right? Because
exactly.
it's at the point of burnout that we get frustrated.
Yeah.
We get
overwhelmed, yes.
depressed. We
Oh
don't
my
want to talk to
gosh.
nobody. Don't talk to me.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like life is just too much.
Yeah.
You know, but then you brought that onto yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But how do we avoid burnout
Yeah.
in marriage and
I mean, I
relationship?
guess the first thing we could kind of dive into
Yeah.
is how does it impact a marriage? Like because some people can be like, yeah, it's fine, and you be busy, we keep it going. They might not even see the signs and all the signs of how it's affecting their marriage.
Yeah.
They might just feel like, well, it's life.
Mhm.
We're living life the way we're supposed to,
Uh-huh.
right? So what is the impact it has on marriages?
See, to me, let me just put it this way: busyness is good. I keep saying that.
Emphasizing
I
that.
keep saying
Ain't
that.
nothing wrong with being busy.
No, the reason why I'm saying that is because look, I would rather be busy than not.
Right, then
Right?
idle.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? The Bible says an idle man, an idle mind
Mind.
is the devil's workshop,
Yeah.
right? When you don't have nothing going, the devil
Ooh.
come to you and uses
He'll
that
find something
opportunity
for
to
you to
tempt
do.
you and things like
Yeah.
that. But when you're busy, and when we talk about busy, we're not just talking about doing just anything. We're talking about building on a rock solid
On the rock
foundation.
solid
You
foundation.
know, we're talking about investing
Yeah.
consistently, intentionally, not only emotionally, but also economically into your
Yeah, into
relationship,
your-
into your marriage, into
Yeah,
your legacy.
Your legacy.
So
There
there's
you go.
something you're doing towards a goal. That's what makes you busy, right? Now, so again, let me reemphasize, busy is good.
Yeah.
You know, but I will say this, it can be a two-edged sword
Yes.
in that on one side you're busy, and that can equate that you're growing.
Yes, it's leading to
It's
something
leading to
good.
something, you're developing and you're growing,
Progress,
you're
growth.
progressing
Yeah.
in one angle. But then it also means that as you're growing in this angle, something else may not be growing
Yes.
as much.
If you don't intentionally
If
pull it
exactly,
along. Right.
and that's why we said it's not so much about managing the business, but finding a balance in ensuring that this growth doesn't affect this other growth.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
And before we came on, and we, before we come on every episode, we do our thing where it's like, I'm gonna ask you a question and things like that, and she would, my wife would ask me, we'll have a conversation about it and things like that. And I was giving her an analogy, and she was like, "Oh, that's a good one. Stop talking. Stop
I was
talking."
like, "Wait till the camera's rolling."
She's like, "Wait till we turn on the camera." And I was like, "No, I'm not trying to preach this." She's like, "No, you ain't got to preach. Just
Just say it.
just say it." And what I was saying was, right, like in the context of what we're talking about, finding balance and all things like that, right? Life. You gotta look at your life and your particular situation, your particular marriage, and say, what are areas of importance and priority for us in this season of our lives? It's important that I say that because priorities will change.
It changes. Yeah.
What's important today may not be so important tomorrow. Things will change, absolutely. Right? So in every season, find out what's important, what's priority, and things like that, right? And I said, now on the scale of balance, right? You got this drink here in this cup.
That's filled with
filled with liquid, and it's pretty heavy, right?
Yeah.
And it could be a much bigger cup than this.
Yeah.
Just imagine it being like a jug of water or something like that,
exactly.
right? And then you've got this phone. Obviously, the jug of water is
heavier.
Physically larger and heavier than the phone.
Yeah.
But what you didn't know, what I didn't tell you, was this phone is not just a phone, right? As big as this water is, if I put it on the scale by itself, it looks like it would drop the scale.
Yeah.
But the moment I put this phone on the scale, it might balance out the scale.
Yeah.
This phone is a much smaller item than this big jug of water.
Yeah.
But the importance and the weights that this phone carries is much more than this jug of water, so no matter how big it is.
Yeah, it's more than just the physical eyes. It's more than just what it looks like. It's what is behind it. This phone is more important than the jug of water. If this jug of water spills and the glass breaks, we could get another one. You don't want your phone to drop and destroy with or you don't want it to be stolen with all the important information on it.
You know what I'm saying?
It carries more importance.
It carries more important. In other words, it's the little things that we don't see that carries more weight than the things that you do see.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I can't tell you what that is. Only you know what that is.
Yeah.
Only you know what carries that level of weight. But that also means this water here, we have to kind of pour more into it in order for this jug of water to live up to its full potential.
Yeah. I got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can't neglect the cup of water to cater to the other one because they're both important. One just has more importance.
Right.
So keep going with your explanation.
You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me give another example, right?
No, you didn't finish it.
I didn't finish
because you made a statement. You said, so if you keep filling that cup of water or the jug so it doesn't empty out, right? It keeps the jug on its heavy weight that it needs to be.
Yes.
But all you need to do is give a little more attention to your phone so it doesn't break or it doesn't drop or whatever. It doesn't have to be like a complete filling.
Yes.
But if you give a little bit of something to it, protection, so nothing happens to it, it adds to the weight and it kind of balances it out.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and in the same breath, you could also look at your children, for example. We don't treat every child the same. Some child, we will spend more time with them on their homework. Another child is like, oh, you know what to do. You know how to read that. Go read that. Go do it on your own. I want you to be independent in learning that on your own. But this child right here, I see that you need a little more help. I will spend more time to you. It doesn't mean you're bad parents because you spend more time with this one than with that one. That's the balance. In other words, balance is not 50-50.
Yes.
It's what I'm really trying to get at.
Right.
It could be 70-30, 80-20, 90-10. It could be 100-0.
And it can fluctuate.
No,
it doesn't. Okay. Whoa, wait a minute. We went off the scale. No, but it's... Oh my God. No, and I even wanted to point out that it could fluctuate too.
Yes.
The one that's heavier can reduce and the other one can come up as long as there's a balance in what you feed it and what you give it. I feel like that's the important thing.
Let's talk about this. Have we ever felt a time where we felt disconnected because of life schedules, business,
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's many times where I could give an example.
Yes.
Maybe, we've been out working or whatever the case may be. It's just something's just off. Like we're not really talking to each other.
Yeah.
Even if we're talking to each other, it's like one-off sentences. It's like you could feel a little bit of tension, not because we're fighting. There's no issue. We're just not connected because we're so busy with life. I've been momming all day, doing this and doing that, and I'm just overwhelmed. And it's like, man, I just want time. I don't even want to talk. I don't want to do anything. You've been working. You've gone to this client. You've traveled to this place. You come back and you're just exhausted. Tired. And it's like, we're not connected.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's happened multiple times, many times, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
But for us, what we then do is we know how we operate, right? We know how we operate. I know when something is off with him.
Yep.
He knows when something is off with me because we do life together. Like we're always doing things together. We know how we are around each other. So when something is off,
we know.
We don't not talk. So if we're not talking, something is up.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So
and another thing that I was gonna say was we can be busy. The way we know that we're having a disconnect because life has just gotten busy. Schedule, work, ministry, kids, things like that, right? It translates into our emotional connection or disconnect too. You would notice that we wouldn't have, gone to town in a minute. Yeah. We wouldn't have played. We wouldn't have, had intimate moments in the bedroom or things like that because life has just been lifing.
Yeah.
And that's a dead giveaway for us. Like we would just say, hey, when was the last time?
We'd be like, when was the last time? I'm like,
you know what I'm saying? Because again, and the reason why that is because we try to make it a point. Look, we are going to be intimate.
Yeah.
If we're not, something is wrong. It's either we're fighting, arguing, not on the same page,
or
just disconnected.
Yeah.
From life, busy and things like that. That's one way we know that something is going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the moment we notice that, we draw back. We don't let things linger.
Yeah.
Especially when we know that this thing is healthy for our relationship. One of the things we don't let linger is unforgiveness. Or, somebody did something wrong.
Yeah.
You get upset, that's fine. Forgive quickly.
Yeah.
And get back to your happy place.
An example.
Yes.
Last night. I was having a conversation with this man. And mid-conversation, he fell asleep.
Yeah.
I was tight. I was like, you asked me a question. I'm answering the question.
Oh, gosh.
And you fell asleep. So you know what? And you know why I got upset? I didn't get upset because I got upset because if I fell asleep while I was having a conversation, whoo boy, forget about it. So I was like, so you could do that to me, and then you know what I'm saying? I was upset. I was like, all right. I didn't say anything. I didn't even wake him up. I just left him alone. I sat there. When it's time for the kids to go to bed, I was like, all right, go use the bathroom, go get ready for bed, come here, say goodnight, let's pray and all that. And then they went to him to say goodnight, and he woke up. And he's like, are we ready? I'm like, let's go to bed. And then we get to the room. And he tries to pick up the conversation from where we left off. I was like, yeah, we're going to talk about this tomorrow. Because I was tight. I was upset. I'm like, and he was trying to have the conversation. I was like, so what were we talking about? I'm like, no. I was like, yeah, I don't remember. I was like, I don't remember. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But then this morning... Let me tell you what I'm driving at, right? With what you just said. You said it's spot on, right? We don't let it linger. I was upset. I wasn't upset like he was like, all hell break loose. No, I was just tight. Like, oh, really? That's what you're going to do? I didn't want to have the conversation anymore last night. I was like, yeah, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I don't remember. I remember the conversation. I just didn't want to talk about it. So it's like, all right, he just left it alone and went to bed. I woke up this morning and he wasn't next to me. And I'm like, you know when you go to bed with something on your mind, that's the first thing you remember when you wake up. So I woke up in my head, I'm like, I'm still gonna be upset. But then I didn't see him next to me, and I'm like, where's this man? I just texted him, I was like, where are you? I was like, where you at? Usually if I was upset, I wouldn't even text him, I'll just ignore it. I was like, where you at? And then he came back to it, was like, oh, I went to use the bathroom. I was like, and then started hugging up on me, and before you knew it, I done moved on from whatever the issue was. But we don't let it linger. Just I'm saying, I wasn't so upset. I was like, oh, don't go to bed angry. It was just we were tired. He was exhausted, by the way. He was tired and wanted to sleep. I was tired too. I was done at that point. But I woke up this morning and I was just like, where's this man at? Where did he go? Like in my head, I'm just like, you're supposed to be right next to me.
But that's a very good example from the concept of forgiving quickly.
Yeah.
We also get to correct situations quickly.
Yeah.
Whenever we see something is
not right, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's not helping our growth.
Yeah.
We notice it and we correct it quickly.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah.
We don't let it linger.
Yes.
And I think a lot of couples will learn from that. They will really benefit from like knowing things.
It helps your relationship.
Gain awareness of them.
Yeah.
And correct quick.
Yeah.
Don't let it linger.
And please, it's not something that just happens. It's not something that just automatically happens. It's an intentional thing.
Yes, it is.
Like I said, I would have woken up this morning like, you know what? I still want to be upset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people do that.
Mm-hmm.
We do that. Where it's like, you know what? I want him to say I'm sorry. I want him to say I shouldn't have fell asleep. I want him to understand that.
Is that serious?
I want him to understand that I was upset about what happened. I could have woke up and like, yeah, I'm still gonna have an attitude with him, and he would know because he knows when I have an attitude. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it's an intentional thing where he's like, you know what? I'm gonna let it go. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. I don't want to wake up today. I don't want to go about our whole day fighting. I actually want to enjoy our day. So it's an intentional thing you do. It's not just automatic, because as human beings, our flesh pushes us to just want to react the way our flesh wants to react. But we have to suppress that feelings because it affects this. So it's an intentional thing you do. It's a choice you make where you're like, you know what? I'm gonna let it go.
Yeah.
You could voice it out. You could say it out. I mean, and I still said it this morning jokingly, and we joked around it, but you heard me because you know I mentioned it like, all right, don't fall asleep when I'm talking to you because you would be upset if I did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? But we said it jokingly and we moved on from the matter. You get what I'm saying? So it has to be an intentional thing that you do, so that way that disconnect doesn't linger, because the more it lingers, the more it goes like this.
It widens. Yes, it widens the disconnects. That's a good point.
Yeah, don't fall asleep. No, he was
wow.
I was like,
wow,
he did not just fall. And I was getting into a meat conversation.
Oh my goodness!
But he was exhausted. He was so tired.
Well, we give God all the glory.
All right, so the next thing I wanted to ask, right? So how do we recharge individually and as a couple? How do we recharge when we've gotten to the point of, because burnout happens. Anybody that tells you they don't get overwhelmed, hey, listen, let me not even say that. Maybe you don't. I've gotten overwhelmed on multiple occasions. You know what I'm saying? Burnout happens when you're with life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've gotten overwhelmed with situations. How do we recharge? How do we kind of bounce back from it? Individually and as a couple? I
think for us, let me talk about as a couple first. I mean, that one is usually easier. As a family, we take trips, right? Yeah. Random trips. Yeah. We would wake up one day and say, let's go spend a weekend in Houston. Let's go spend a weekend in Atlanta. Let's go spend a weekend in whatever, right?
Wherever, yeah.
Especially one of those extended weekends where it's Memorial Day, it's Labor Day, it's July 4th.
Holiday,
you know what I'm saying? It's a holiday.
Yeah.
So we take time intentionally to get out and do something, right? As a family. That's a recharge for us, because we're not doing our usual everyday life.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not cooking, we're not cleaning, we're not going to work, we're not coming home, we're not running ministry, we're not preaching, we're not doing nothing. Everything is set and we're just living life, right? We're intentional about that. We're very, very intentional about that. On a personal level, right? There is, okay, let me talk about myself. Let's say, for example, I have meetings back to back. I step out, I go somewhere, and I'm out all day working. I come home, my kids, obviously, you know, they love seeing their dad. They jump on me, daddy, blah, blah, blah. My wife comes, she greets me and things like that, which is beautiful. One thing they know, and I think it's become like a common knowledge now in the house with the kids, after the pleasantries and all that, right? I go away immediately. Yeah. I'm in the study, I'm in the bathroom, whatever. I'm like, I just have a quick Zen moment.
Cluster, yeah.
You know, sometimes I'm catching up on social media. Sometimes I'm just not touching nothing. I'm just woosahing, right? Whatever. And that goes on for about 30 minutes to about an hour, right? Yeah. And it's so funny because sometimes my kids and the wife, they will be so eager to tell me something. They'll come in there and start talking. Did you hear about this? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm responding. And my kids, they ask a thousand questions. You know,
oh my God.
I'm trying to answer the question and things, and then there's follow up and things like that. And then after a while, I'm just like, okay, guys, give daddy like 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes and I got you. You got me all day. And my wife would even tell them, let daddy, you know, let's give daddy some time. And I need that. I need that because I want them to get the best of me. I want to be able to declutter and like remove myself from wherever it is that I was just coming from, so that I can be here and be present here. Absolutely. But I need that quick break, gap of like 30 minutes to about an hour to just reintegrate myself into my family and out of that word that I was just coming from. So I do that personally. Another thing that I do, prayer trips. I would go to a hotel for about for 2 days or 3 days or whatever. I'll pray. You know, I'm in the Bible. I'm listening to God. It's my time by myself. It's my time with God. It's like going to the mountain to pray. You know, there's a reason why I'm going, but it's also serving as a mode of recharge. You know what I mean? It's also serving as a time for me to, you know, take time. Recharge, hear what God is saying, how we're moving forward about life, about the family, about business, ministry, and things like that. But it also gives me time to relax and to just have time to myself and recharge. Absolutely. You know what I mean? I think those two things are what I do on a personal thing. And then, of course, I mean, other things like hobbies and going to the gym, walking.
Going to the gym.
You know what I'm saying? Like, well, you know, walking the dog by myself, prayer walks and things like that. But I don't look at that as recharging.
It is a form of recharge. I mean, because you go without us. Like, you could wake up early in the morning, like 5 a.m. You're just out. You know, so it is a form of recharge.
What do you do?
For me, you know, mine always happens at night. When everybody is sleep. Like, it actually, I was telling him like today, I was like, it happened like yesterday or the day before. You know, the kids went, it was bedtime, go to bed. He was exhausted and he had to get up early in the morning, so he went to bed. And usually when he goes to bed, I just go with him and we go to bed. But I just needed a moment to just kind of just relax. So they all went to bed. Our baby was still with me and she was chilling. So I just turned on the show she usually watches, and she was gone. She was just watching whatever. Miss Rachel, she was just watching it, and I was just sitting there, just nothing. I wasn't doing anything. Sometimes I get on my phone and I'm just kind of responding to some people that responded on social media, or I'm looking at TikTok or whatever the case may be. But for me, what it does is it removes my mind from having to do, and even though my baby's there, she's distracted. So it moves my mind from momming, from work, from thinking about ministry or anything. I'm just literally just in my own world at that time. And sometimes she's sleeping as well. I put her in her bed, she's already knocked out, so it's just me. And you know, I probably just put on one of my favorite show that's maybe like a chick flick that we don't watch together and I watch by myself. I probably just put it on. Half of the time I fast forward it, but I'm literally just in my own zone. I'll get some snacks, I'll relax, you know, just having that me time. I feel like for me, that's really the biggest way that I recharge. And I've done that in the course of our marriage. I do that multiple times. Even when we started having kids, like times when I'm just overwhelmed from not sleeping, I'll just literally just
take time to
give the baby to my mom, and but I wait till everybody is asleep, because for me, it's quiet in the house. You know, my mind is now on what are those kids doing upstairs. So I know where everybody is. So for me, I can get my mind off of them and just kind of. So for me, that's a big one, you know, and I could be doing anything, really. It doesn't have to TV or not TV, you know, reading my Bible sometimes, whatever the case may be. I just have that me time. And I feel like that's the biggest way that I recharge for me. And we also do as a couple sometimes. We have our gym has like parent night out. They will take the kids, they'll watch the kids. When we go to the gym, they watch the kids while we're there, which is great because we're able to go together. But they will do like a parent night out on a Saturday, and we drop off the kids there and we go out and just have us. So
now we're bringing back to we do family individuals, and then
couples.
us two couples. Yeah, we definitely do that. Jim would take the kids and we would have our time together.
Our time, yeah.
Or even when the kids were in school, and the baby was not, she's not in school yet, so we would put her in daycare. It costs us like $100 a day to put her in there, but that's worth it for us because that's a day we have to ourselves, right? We can go out, right? We could go get things done, or we could just stay home, just stay home and be by ourselves, right?
And then sometimes when my mom comes, we take advantage of it. We take big advantage of it. So sometimes we might be on a blessing. We might be on a roll, like going at it. And she comes like once or twice a year. When she comes like this, here, your grandkids, we don't know you guys, and we have like time to like, just kind of do things and just kind of recharge. And so when she's gone, we're back. We're back at it again. We're ready to,
So I'm just gonna close it on this note, right? It's a short one today, and we're doing it intentionally. You might be getting 30 to 35 minutes episode moving forward. But it really, I really wanted to let me close on this to say that if you hear the heart of the conversation today, you will hear a lot of moving parts, right? But there's a rhythm, there's a system that works for us. My point is, in your own to juggle, find a rhythm, find a system that works for you. The moment you have a tempo, it makes it easy to dance to the beat of your own music. Because this is our music and we're dancing to it, and it's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? I was in a meeting, and people wanted to do like an icebreaker and things like that. So people were talking about your first concerts that you've ever gone to, things like that. And the answers were crazy. Some people's first concert was a reggae concert. Some people's first concert was a rock and roll concert. Some people's first concert was a big Mexican band. My first concert was a go-go concert. Chuck Brown from DC, if you know anything about go-go, right? But in the answer, I'm looking like, wow, everybody's first concert was like a rhythm of their life. And if you know something about go-go, it gives you like, boom, 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 boom. It's like there's a rhythm. There's a rhythm to it. And if you just find your rhythm, find your tune, find your song, you dance to that. Somebody else may come and try to dance to that rhythm and fall.
It doesn't work.
Because it's not for them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? We have found our rhythm. We have found the music and the tune that works for our relationship and our marriage. Find that for yourself. Once you get a rhythm and you get a tempo going, it makes it look like you're the only one that knows how to do what you do.
Like you got it all figured out.
You make it look easy. And nobody else can walk a mile in your shoes. You follow what I'm saying? So that's really what to take from here. It's not to take what we do, implement that into your own life. Here and there.
Find your own rhythm. That's the takeaway. Like what works for your relationship and your marriage.
Listen. Well said. Can we close?
Yeah, we can close.
All right. All right. So I hope we've shared a tip or two to help solidify your kingdom union. Not only with yourself, the personal self, but also with others. And most importantly, with God on today, the cross. You feel what I'm saying?
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, share with your friends and family, and comment down below. Let us know, how do you protect your marriage? Well, put rhythm, comment rhythm down below. There you go.
All right, and until next time, be the light,
be the sun,
and remember, all things are possible if you believe. Bye. See you on the next one. Goodbye. We love you with the love of God. Ciao, ciao, ciao.